Jim Vandehei, you know, Chuck Todd was talking about how Georgia's shifting to a swing. Yeah. Having said that, not so quickly, because as Casey pointed out, she doesn't necessarily sound like a Democrat, and it almost seems like she's equivocating her way to the very end.
That's how you have to run in Georgia. You asked the question, would it be an upset? I think it would be an upset for a Republican to lose in Georgia, even if you're running against a Nunn. The fact that she was talking about that she didn't have a position on health care was the biggest topic in American politics over the last 5 or 6 years, and everybody paid attention to it. So I assume she did have a position at that time, but obviously can't state it because she has to run as a centrist, almost like a Republican light, to be able to have a chance. And I think she knows that once this primary is over, and Republicans rally around whoever wins it on the Republican side, those numbers are likely to shift, and she's going to go into this general election at some level of a deficit, and she also knows that lots of outside money is going to be coming the Republican way.
Chuck, Harold Ford, good morning. Having run in a race in the South 7, 8 years ago, and I'm confident that Michelle will have better success than I did. I can tell you, you know, people say she doesn't sound like a Democrat, Mika. She sounds like a Democrat where she comes from, because people want better jobs, they want better schools, they want affordable health care. She's not out supporting the Tea Party, out supporting the dysfunction and polarization in Washington. And so, Chuck, my question to you, her and Allison London Grimes, who I think also is a more formidable candidate she's being given credit for, don't they have to run the races they're running as Democrats to have any chance of success in these states?
Well, I think they have to run as independent. Look, I separate these two races a little bit because, look, the Kentucky race the question's going to be how much of a referendum is it on Washington and Mitch McConnell, right? Obviously, Allison Grimes wants to make it all about being a referendum on McConnell and Washington, and if she does that, that's her path to victory. It's a different path to victory. She actually has more opportunity to win Republican voters simply because of this potentially anger at McConnell that she could tap into. In Georgia, I mean, you're right. I mean, that's been the path to how conservative Democrats in House races there. Think John Barrow, who has survived in a Republican House district for a long time. This is the tightrope he's walked on these issues. But I have to say, I thought it was such a boy, nothing screamed practiced politician like that answer Michelle Nunn gave on health care. You just can't, it just doesn't come across as credible. You know, what's at least more credible saying, of course, you know, saying, well, I supported it, but I don't like this, this, and this. At least there's a little credibility when you give that answer. When you somehow say, well, I was busy at doing another job, so you didn't.
You can't look back.
No, that was a terrible, I think that's a terrible answer, and I think she's going to have to get a better answer. But by the way, if Republicans get David Perdue, that's probably the best. I mean, he's very much the Atlanta businessman candidate. Boy, that's in the mold of Saxby Chambliss. That's in the mold of Johnny Isakson, these sort of center-right mainstream Republicans. That's going to be a lot harder for Michelle Nunn, who, by the way, does have one prominent Republican that has endorsed her, and that's Dick Lugar.
Oh, interesting. Casey, I love these interviews because you very honestly just ask the question, and then they hang themselves sometimes with their equivocating, because that answer kind of, I mean, listen, I'd love for her to do well, don't get me wrong, but come on, answer the freaking question.